going to tell you a story about a family of 5. Brenda Gowen and Mark McKenzie. One night, they're sleeping. A burglar breaks in. This burglar ties up Mark, ties up his wife Brenda, ties up their oldest son. Takes them to the living room. There's also 2 younger children upstairs, 8 and 9. Dylan and Shannon. He calls them both into the living room, where he brutally murders the mother, father, and their teenage brother right in front of him. Takes a hammer, he stabs him. Later, takes both kids, Dylan and Shannon, for 7 weeks. He takes them to a cabin he had somewhere in the woods. For 7 weeks, he videotapes as he tortures these children. The boy specifically ties him to a tree with his arms hanging dangling as he constantly kicks him, punches him, burns him, but his obsession was with his genital parts, where he every day burned him with a cigarette, performed circumcisions which the child didn't need, until finally he killed him. Buried him in the woods. 7 weeks still passes. Then God, Shayna, who was also raped, who was also beaten, is actually found in the Denny's with this guy. The locals call the police. She's saved. However, she's traumatized for the rest of her life. The man who did it was Joseph Edward Duncan III, a sociopath murderer who before served 20 years prior for the same previous crime, except for murder, but rape of younger boys, up to at least 13 younger boys. This story is the primary reason I am in favor, and I want all you all to be in favor of the death penalty, capital punishment. Shot subject to a lot of people, but in cases like this, I think it's necessary. Even more heinous to the crime is that while he's torturing them, he's looking at them and saying, God is nowhere, I'm the devil. Every day for 7 weeks, God is nowhere, I'm the devil. These are monsters that are actually on death row. In order to be on death row, you have to meet certain criteria. The criteria is first degree murder, kidnapping. The majority of kidnappings actually lead to murder, treason, and rarely the sexual assault of a minor. An individual hasn't died in years for an actual sexual assault of a minor, but in some states such as Utah, Wyoming, they actually push for that, and I think that all states should actually push for it. Just because the child is innocent, the child has no real bearing on the world, really can't, defend him or herself. As we all know, there are certain methods to how people are actually executed, which actually draws a lot of controversy. I myself feel it's a happy-go-lucky process. I feel that the methods offered, which are the most common is lethal injection. You also have hanging in some states. You can die by firing squad, lethal gas, and of course electrocution. This week actually in Yahoo, an Arizona judge sparked a lot of debate because he stated he felt we should bring back the guillotine. So everyone, straight to the point, chop your head off, but not actually agree with him. A lot of inmates are asking and holding up their death penalty sentences, which costs a lot of taxpayers a lot of money because they want to know the actual drugs and any drugs given for lethal injection, which just wastes more time, which actually costs us more money as taxpayers. So his incentive, his suggestion is bring back the guillotine. Myself is in favor. I actually like to go see, a murderer or rapist of a child be beheaded. Why not? This guy is a monster. Or this woman. These are monsters. These guys are taking the lives of innocent children, innocent adults. If they have not the compassion, they're not human enough to care for someone else's life. Why should we care about how they're executed? And in the meantime, they should get executed. And once again, I said these are not contributors to our society. A poll done by Gallup's Politics found that 40% of people on death row were already active criminals. 1/3 of them were, 3/10 were already on probation. 4/10 were already on parole. And it's not shocking that 98% of personnel on the death row are men. The other 2% are women. Women actually, they actually do some very vicious and heinous crimes as well. But it's very important that you know that these are not contributors to society. These are actually monsters, and that they should receive the death penalty. We spoke about, now that I've told you what type of crimes result in the death penalty, the type of persons who are on death row, I also want to say that the death penalty is good for society. It deters crime. A study done by the Washington Post said that for every death row inmate who was executed, average anywhere from 3 to 18 persons are actually saved in a lifetime. So if they were out and not being executed, they would still average anywhere from 3 to 18 people. If you look up some of these stories on these death row inmates, these guys are brutal. Like these guys murdered 10s, 20s, sometimes even up to the hundreds of people. I don't even know how they can stomach it, but it's actually a good thing for society. Protects lives, protects the welfare of our society. That's in addition to protecting lives, saving lives, protecting the welfare of society. It also costs taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars to keep death row inmates alive as we go through the process. So I also want to not only persuade you guys to be in favor of the death penalty, but also I would like to see it expedited as soon as possible. Because California actually spent $114 million in the year 2012 on its death row inmates. New York spent $170 million over 9 years. It got no one executed. It takes an average about 15.8 years to get someone executed. So if you do the math with California, 15.8 years times 114 million a year, that's 1.8 billion over 16 years. Think about all the schools that can be built, how many tuitions can be paid through grants and scholarships, how many more McDonald's we can have out there for our employees. Just more social services, better roads, better hospitals. If we put that, we put our actual taxpayers' money where it needs to be. So today, I hope you guys feel the same way that I feel, and deem that capital punishment is necessary. It deters crime, saves lives. It lets people know that you're going to actually have to pay for the vicious crimes that you commit. It's a drain on our society economically. So if you're ever forced to vote in any of these bills and any of these polls that we have going on, vote in favor of capital punishment. Thank you.
All right, Omar, what did you think?
Let's see. I think that Tony's attention grabber did his purpose by gaining the audience complete attention and their curiosity at the same time. His transitions were good. He made the audience know by the projection of his voice. He gave relevant information, support documentation that might have had an impact on the audience and persuaded them to go in his favor.
Okay. All right, I think you're trying to get a lot of mileage at the beginning from the horrifying story, and it definitely is going to create a predisposition against what you describe, I think, accurately as monsters. So I think you've got the right idea there. That's going to give us a persuasive way of seeing this, and your value statement is pretty clear here that this is something that's necessary. I do think that you have to have a little bit firmer grasp of some of the data in the speech. For instance, when you're describing what the rules are in order to be sentenced to death, it's a little bit vague. You mentioned that in a couple of states they actually do sentence people to death for sexual assault of a child. Give us a source citation on that. I thought that that was a little bit problematic. I think you need a preview of what the supporting structure is going to be. As I'm listening, I can hear distinct points in the speech, but you haven't set up a roadmap, and it just seemed like they're coming up randomly at times instead of something being prepared, and I think that that's a little problematic. It'll sell the audience more effectively if you put that structure up at the beginning. On the other hand, I thought that you helped yourself quite a bit at the end, because when you did summarize the argument, it was very clear. I mean, you reminded us of what the main points were, and I thought you did a good job on that. So I've often said in a lot of classes that a speech that's not well organized can often be rescued in the conclusion, and I think you help yourself quite a bit at the end of the speech. Like I said, in the beginning and in the body of the speech, it feels sort of random. I know that they're distinct points, but when you get to the end and you summarize, I thought the conclusion helped make it a lot more coherent as an argument at the end. I'm sure that you didn't really mean happy-go-lucky as the phrase that you were talking about there. I know you said it, but it's kind of like, it's a happy-go-lucky choice of execution. I think what you mean is it's kind of random and inconsistent on the way in which people are executed, because happy-go-lucky makes it sound like we're all going to a picnic to see people being executed, and I don't think that's really the impression that you want to give. That's probably going to create a little bit more resistance. The fact that there's some controversy over the methods of execution, I think that that's something that needs to be developed a little bit more. One of the reasons that it's so slow to get people executed is because of the extensive appeals process to make sure that people's rights have been observed, that we've got somebody who is in fact truly guilty in this particular case, and then we have to go through this extra hoop of, is the method of execution, constitutional? Well, if there are questions about the lethal injection process, let's go back to the tools that we used before that were constitutional. Electrocution, hanging, firing squad. Although the United States has never used the guillotine, I suppose that that's an interesting perspective that the judge brought up there. Problem is, do you have to have two graves when you have a guillotine? One for the head and one for the body? That just seems wrong. And a separate coffin, I don't know. I thought that you delivered the speech really well. Like I said, except for that awkward phrase there, you do speak to the audience, you're not dependent on the script. I do think your source citations needed to be more consistent, and the time was fine. It was just a little bit over, but mostly because you were, like I said, summarizing at that point. All right, thank you.